I have something to lit a fire under me earlier today. Let me put it that way. I was speaking to a number of coaching clients over the last, oh gosh, month, looking at comments and various Facebook groups, and I am seeing an issue. And I thought, I think I could actually get out here and actually help some folks. And so the title of today's video is I'm going to save your summer camp. And I do think it needs a little bit of saving because I have been reading the copy of a lot of pages, a lot of different studios, what they're sending out to fill their summer camps or their summer programs. So whether it's summer lessons, whether it's summer camps, all day camps, half day camps, specialty camps, I've been seeing what people are writing to promote it and understanding why they're having difficulty filling these programs. Now, earlier in the year, back in the spring or early spring, like late February, we did a almost 2 hour webinar on how to fill your summer programs. And there was a section in there where I talked about how what you write about your camp or your summer lessons or your summer program will impact whether or not people want to join. We actually even gave templates for that. And you can go see that summer program page. It's in our school group. If you go to school.com/grow your music studio, it's in there. And there's a lot of good advice in there. But when I've actually gone and looked at what people are using to promote the camp, when I've actually gone and looked at what people are writing, I've begun to see how there is a mismatch between what people have written and what I intended. So in this video, we're going to go through the following thoughts. Why you're having trouble getting people to enroll for your summer programs or summer camps. What is wrong in the messaging that I've seen in a lot of studios, whether they're working with us or studios where I've just kind of gone around the industry and looked at people's Instagram pages, things of that nature. I'm seeing the issues that are cropping up. And then I want to end with the 5 emotional messages that work. So we're going to look at what's not working. We're going to look at what makes it work. And then we're going to actually get super practical at the end. So here's the thought. The main problem that people are having is that they are marketing the wrong thing. Okay? So I'm going to just say a couple things that I've seen. I see a lot of summer camp pages or summer camp ads or summer program Instagram posts, Facebook posts that studios and schools are putting out that are marketing fun. Or they're marketing, hey, it's Taylor Swift camp. We're doing all Taylor Swift songs. Or they're marketing a theme like it's a pirate adventure. And all the marketing copy is focused on 2 things, like the theme or the concept of the camp, or the fact that it's going to be fun, or worst of all, talking about all the activities that we're going to do. And they might even have like really vibrant pictures of kids in past years. You know, something that we did in our summer camps many, many years ago, my partner in Piano Express, back in the 2000s when we were first doing summer camp, you know, when we had 150, 200 kids in a camp, we played this game called Noodle Tag. And we even had kids that would come back a year later, and the day one of the camp, they remembered from the previous summer, Noodle Tag. And literally, we just had kids where whoever got the answer right, they would run around and they would hit other kids in the head with a pool noodle. Kids loved this game. We had pictures of it. But that wasn't what our marketing centered around. It wasn't around the activity, the games, the prizes. We referenced them. But that was like the dessert. That was not the meal. The marketing copy, if you're primarily focusing on the features of the camp, the fun of the camp, where you're just saying, hey, you're going to have fun, it is not going to work. And what I've heard from a lot of clients prior to me going in and tearing their copy apart and helping them rebuild it from scratch is that is what I'm seeing on there is that it's focusing on these things. And these do not sell camp. It's not your concept. It's not that you're doing all Taylor Swift songs. It's not the pirate adventure. It's fun. It's not all the activities or prizes. That does not sell camp. What sells camp? You are marketing the emotional reason that parents should enroll. The main message that should be in your Instagram ads, your Facebook posts, the summer camp page on your website, the posts that you're doing on social media, the emails that you're sending to parents. You are marketing the emotional reason that parents should enroll. That is like what 80% of what you should be focusing on. Now, I work with studio owners all the time, big schools, small schools. In fact, I think Facebook has this feature here where like it attaches a link to this post. I don't even know if it did it. I haven't gone live in so long. I don't know all the fancy doodads that they do. But if you want to talk about this with me, I'll just say go to growyourmusicstudio.com/studio growth, one word. Just fill out a time. We will go over all your copy. With my clients right now, I'm going over their copy, tearing it apart, rebuilding it from the ground up. I've even literally had clients in the last couple of weeks where they said like they had a massive change after we did a copy tear down, because we went from this features or concept-based marketing to emotional marketing. So again, I'm going to say it a third time, and then we're going to actually talk about what it is. You are marketing the emotional reason that parents should enroll. It's kind of an abstract concept, but what has to happen is the parent can't just read this and be like, oh, interesting, okay, so that's what they're going to do. That's how they receive it. There's no emotion there. There's no emotion at all. It's just like it comes into them as information, but information doesn't move people. Or I'll say it a different way, and this is really dating me, but when I was a kid, my mom had these VHS tapes that she taped off television of like the old Charlie Brown cartoons. And whenever Charlie Brown would hear his teacher, it was always this wah, 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 wah sound, like this muted jazz trumpet, right? That's what parents hear when you talk about how your Taylor Swift camp is so fun or your Pirate Adventure camp is so fun. That's all they hear. They don't hear anything. It's blank. It's an emotional neutral. Okay? So, to recap, before we go into the final part of this video, 1, a lot of people are having trouble filling their camps or summer programs. 2, that's the reason why. 3, final part of the video here, I want to go through right now the 5 emotional messages that work. And when I go back and look at stuff that I was writing 10 years ago or what I'm writing with now, typically all 5 are in there. One of them might not be in there if you haven't earned the right to use this particular message. That's the last one I'm going to mention. But at least 4 of these, every single studio owner on earth can use these 4 emotional messages. So let's get the big one out of the way, because if you came to my webinar in February, which again is available in our school group, and once this is over, I'll put it in the comments. You can go watch the whole webinar. It's loaded with great strategic ideas. But this is just kind of a follow-up to that because so many people are botching the marketing part of it. So, first one, they won't lose momentum. Okay? That's the one that I primarily talk about. If you go look at old blog posts that I wrote on summer camp and that sort of thing, that's a big one that I've always leaned on. So let me dig into the nitty-gritty of that. The reason this is an emotional one is that you're actually going to really hit on the idea of investment. Protecting the parents' investment in their child's music education. So this entire past school year, they've been in weekly lessons. It's been very systematic. And then if a parent is thinking about taking off for the summer, one of the main messages that I said to encourage parents to stay through the summer was that they won't lose momentum. So, and then how I follow it up is with stories of kids in the past where they took the summer off and then they came back and they spent basically and this is true, most of the next semester like having to review songs. They're like really rusty for the first month. They've lost their practice habits. They're getting back into the groove of things because they took that 2-month break, that 2.5-month break. So many things get lost. And I can go into much more detail in the marketing, or if I was talking to a parent face to face, but I would really go into detail and really sell it with stories. Now, I would do that just to encourage parents to enroll in summer lessons. Just stay consistent through the summer, won't be a big deal. Oh, you got to take a vacation week? Totally fine. We can do makeup, that sort of thing. A lot of parents bought that. If they wouldn't, I would then go into, take my summer book blast then. If you're going to be gone many weeks during the summer, visiting family, going on vacation, you're going camping that week as a family. This week they have horseback riding week. That week they have swim, camp. Okay, I get it. You can't do consistent summer lessons. At the very least, do one of my book blast camps during the summer. They'll get through and this is the second message. They'll get through a whole book in a week, or most of a book in a week. And a lot of times, if I couldn't sell them on the top level, which is just staying in summer lessons, I would sell like about 70% would do the camp week. So that message got them into one or the other, and so pretty much everybody did something during the summer. It was very rare that I had more than 10% of people not doing at least one of those 2 things in the entirety of my studio when I had a lot of students. So that's the first one, they won't lose momentum. I already referenced the second one. I'm going to get into that a little bit more now. They'll complete a book in a week, or almost all of their book in a week. Parents do not have the level of detail or knowledge that we have as a music teacher for their child. They don't have the level of vision that we have. They understand things in a much more crude way. We have to give them these milestones, teach them what the milestones are, and then reinforce the milestones. One of them is how important it is that a child passed a book. Oh, this is a major thing. I always made such a big deal about it in my studio. Similarly, to say, hey, we're going to complete most of a book or all of a book in a week. And I could legitimately say that. I had students that would do that every summer, get through most or all of a book. That was meaningful to a parent. During drop-off and pickup time, I might stop and talk to parents a little bit. And they might, hey, I saw you send out an email about summer camp. Tell me about that. And I wouldn't lead with the momentum one. I would lead with the get through a book in a week one. And the parent, I would see parents like their eyes would go a little bit wide. Oh wow, really? Oh yeah. The way that we do camp is very, very different, and they're just gonna crush, get through much faster than other kids will get through, and parents would then ask follow-up questions on that, which would lead me naturally into the other emotional drivers, which we're going to get to next. This is only 2 out of 5. But I could tell parents were impressed with that one. It was a meaningful milestone, and that caused an emotional trigger in parents. That's the second one. Third one, language immersion. This one's a little bit more abstract. But I would talk about this in the marketing, and I would talk about this with parents, that when you work with a child week to week, that's a meaningful way of teaching music to a child and building skill in guitar or piano or whatever the skill is. But when I have a child for 5 days in a row and I'm supervising every aspect of their practice, it functions a little bit more like language immersion. And there's something meaningful that happens with the child when they have that much learning put into a short period of time. And children, and this is true, students who did that after were not the same. Kids who went through a camp week were permanently changed after that in a meaningful way. I would talk to parents about how kids came out of that week with more enthusiasm, how they learned music faster, how maybe they consistently had rhythm issues around like dotted quarter notes. When I had them for a week, I could really work on trouble concepts with kids, no matter what level they were at. And I did my camp weeks multi-level, so I'd be working with a variety of levels all at once. When I had kids for that much time, we could really knock out problems that they had. And so that immersion that they have for a solid week meant that they might get something during that week, that camp week, that they didn't get the rest of the summer. Even if they came to summer lessons, because it's spaced out, I might not have the opportunity to like really focus on a trouble area that particular child has. Because again, my camp weeks, we did do beginner camps, but we also did camps with students that were already in the studio as a substitute for summer lessons. That's the third one. Fourth one, the fourth emotional driver would be students who are on the verge of quitting, then got addicted to piano. So an emotional driver that I used in my marketing, again, whether it was social media posts, emails, again, we're not focusing on concepts or fun. We're focusing on things that actually make parents' eyes go wide and be like, oh, wow, okay. Because parents are always fighting with kids. This typical stereotype. They're always fighting with their kids over practice, or they just in general see their children being kind of lethargic around music the longer they're in it. My camp weeks legitimately woke some students up. I had students that were on the verge of quitting. I could feel it in them. They have maybe like 3 months left. They have 6 months left. They'd come to a camp week, and they'd last 2 more years. And they'd come out of that camp week practicing more than ever. They went from passing 2 songs a week to 5 songs a week, or they'd go from 4 songs a week to 7 songs a week. High quality. They're practiced up at home. Had parents emailing me. I literally put this in my testimonials for camp weeks. Literally parents emailing saying, hey, what did you do to them? They will not stay away from the piano. I literally had to chase Emerson off the piano last night to make her go to bed. Or I had to fight with her to get off the piano to do her homework for school. And this happened. And so parents would read that and they would have an emotional response to that. Oh man, I really want that for my child. And again, I reinforce this with stories in the marketing, whether it was in person, over the phone, social media posts, or marketing emails or ads. The fifth one, this is the optional one. Not all of you deserve to be able to say this. Not everyone can say this. So this is one that you have to know whether this is true or not. and that is save your spot for fall. This was true in my studio. If a family quit for the summer and said, "Hey, we'll see you in the fall," I would say, "You're probably not going to have a spot," because I get about 20 requests for lessons during the summer, and if a family vacates their spot, I will give that spot up. So if you want to make sure that you have a spot for fall, you either need to take lessons through the summer or come to one of my camp weeks. And parents would just kind of look at me like, what? So fear of losing the spot, that's a huge emotional driver. Now, I tried that in the early days when I wasn't great at marketing or getting leads. Well, if you want your spot in the fall, you have to take for the summer. But then I barely get any requests over the summer. And so then they'd come back in the fall and be like, "Hey, can we have a spot?" And then it actually worked against me. And so the next summer when I used the same thing, they didn't even believe me. So you can't use this one if it isn't true. Your marketing has to be pretty dialed in to be able to threaten that. So, word to the wise. Now, last thing, how can you use this in the real world? You can use it in your marketing emails. You can use them on your sales page or summer camp description page, these 5 emotional drivers. You can use it when you talk to parents. You can make individual emails about each of these concepts. Complete a book in a week. You can have a whole marketing email that has a story about a student in the past summer that passed an entire book in a week, and then you have a call to action at the end, "Hey, register for summer camp," right? I also recommend in your call to action, make a bulleted list of these 5 emotional drivers and put them at the end of every single one of your emails. Put it on your summer camp page. Sure, you can talk about your awesome, Taylor Swift camp or, summer adventure camp, your splash and safari camp. You know how there's an animal theme, like a safari, safari animals theme. Great, awesome. It's not going to sell your camp. What will sell your camp is these 5 ideas, these 5 emotional drivers. Make sure that they show up on your page because that's what will sell it. And it should be more dominant on the page than whatever your theme is or that sort of thing. And obviously make sure you're always putting a call to action at the end of every email you send out, every social media post about your camp or your summer program. It's got to be there. So yeah, these are the big 3. People are having trouble selling out their camps. Hopefully this video will wake you up and you can go evaluate your own marketing copy, your own social media posts, your own pitches for your camp and ask yourself, am I focusing more on the features and benefits of the camp? Am I focusing more on the theme of the camp? Am I saying unprovable things about the camp like it's fun? Or am I giving these emotional drivers? And these emotional drivers all over the marketing? Because if they are, it's going to be way easier to sell the camp. Anyway, hope this video has been helpful for you. If you want me to go over your marketing copy, just go to GrowYourMusicStudio.com/studio growth, one word. Happy to go over that with you, talk about your marketing strategy for your summer camps and your fall programs. And thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.